There is a way to take every temptation that the enemy brings into your life and flip it on him and use it as an offensive weapon against him. And I'm going to teach you that exact strategy in this video. You've probably never heard this strategy before. I don't hear anyone else teaching on it, but it is guaranteed to change forever the way you handle temptation and bring a new level of victory in your life. That's why this channel exists, to give you practical strategies and understandings from the scripture that help you live the overcoming victorious Christian life. If you want that kind of information, please hit subscribe. And by all means, if this video helps you, hit like. But listen to me, here's the strategy. It's like spiritual Aikido. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Aikido, but it is a martial art that's different from a lot of the other martial arts. What I'm about to teach you is spiritual Aikido in one sense. Here's why Aikido is different. It doesn't meet force with force. It takes the momentum and the leverage energy coming from the other person and flips it on them and turns what would be a defensive situation into an offensive situation against the opponent. You can do that with Satan in the temptations that he brings to you. Now, let me be clear. Not all temptation is from the enemy. You say, what do you mean? Well, some of it's from our flesh. The fact of the matter is, Satan could not touch you at all, and there's a certain amount of sin principle we wrestle with and called our old nature. It's really our flesh against the spirit. The flesh wars against the spirit, so there's that. This will help you even there, knowing that it's probably not Satan himself bringing the temptation. He has demons assigned to you. He's not omnipresent. He's not everywhere at one time like God is, so he assigns demons to us who study us, who know our weaknesses, and who are so good at predicting human behavior, they can guess what we're going to do regardless. Whatever the temptation and wherever it's coming from and however it manifests, this is the way you battle it. Here's the strategy. Use the temptation as a cue. Use the temptation as a reminder, as a nudge to pray for some significant person, some significant kingdom person in your life. Here's what Ian Bounds said about prayer. Listen to this. He said, even Satan trembles when even the weakest Christian is on their knees. What is he saying? He's saying, listen, you may be the least among all Christians in terms of maturity and performance and righteousness and practicality, all that. But when you pray, you are tapping the greatest power of the universe, and that's God's power, asking him to intervene in this world that the enemy wants to run. So when he brings the temptation, immediately pray for, I would suggest, your pastor. Why? Your pastor is under God, charged with the soul care of hundreds of people, or at least dozens of people in your community, in your faith community. They're where you live. And so when you're praying for your pastor, you're praying strategically for a strategic person that God has placed in that area that is doing battle daily against the enemy and leading your local outpost in the army of God on mission for Christ. So pray for your pastor. Satan would hate that. He hates prayer in the life of Christians. Now watch this. Here's how you win. You win at multiple levels. When an enemy brings temptation and you turn it into a reminder, you start conditioning yourself to use it as a reminder to pray for that person. And go ahead and have in mind, by the way, exactly what you're going to pray for them every time. Pray for wisdom, maybe pray for purity. Pray for that person, 2 or 3 things specifically, and be ready to do that. Here's the way you win. No matter where that temptation is coming from, a couple things begin to happen. First of all, to the degree that it is the enemy, you're flipping it on him. Now think about what's going on in his mind. Every time he or his demons bring a temptation to you that has been working, that's been taking you out, they start to see that all they're doing is prompting you to do the one thing they hate the most, and that's to pray. They have to find an alternative. They have to come up with some other way. And it's hard for them because chances are the thing they've been beating you up with as far as temptation is the thing they know that works, right? The thing that they can predictably take you down with and over. You're forcing confusion into the enemy's camp by using what they're bringing to just become a reminder in and of itself. Not only that, but you can't walk in the flesh and walk in the spirit at the same time. And so the temptation is to some way walk in the flesh. And so even if the enemy's not bringing that, you've just got a flesh pattern and it's cropping up again because the circumstances were right, and it just exposed that weakness, and you start feeling that gravitational pull in your flesh to go sin in a certain area with that temptation, it immediately switches. It flips a switch. It gets you out of flesh mode into spirit mode just by kicking you into the prayer game, right? Immediately. But not only that, at the end of the day, you can't lose by praying. You're fulfilling a command of Scripture. Philippians 4:6 says, pray in every situation. In every situation, with prayer and thanksgiving, present your requests to God. James said, submit yourself to God and resist the devil, and the devil has to flee. And so in submitting ourselves to God, we're resisting the devil and he has to flee. And so when you pray, that is a form of submission to God. Kicks in that law of resistance where it creates an atmosphere, a situation, a transaction that the enemy has to exit. And it happens that way every single time. I don't know whether or not you're a believer. By the way, if you're not a believer, this video will tell you how to become a believer. Just click the link, watch that video. I go into depth on how to know you're saved, why we need to be saved, how to get saved, make sure you're saved, how to start a relationship with God. It's all there. But if you are a believer and you've been struggling, you feel overwhelmed and you're frustrated with the same defeats, the same temptations that work every time, and you're ready for something new, you're ready for a new strategy, I believe this is the one to try now, and you will see the results. Let me know in the comments how it works for you.